MUI Goku versus Moro. There's some ridiculously cool panels. Just the style of drawing is really good. So I've always wanted to draw this pose. I drew the front facing one. Now we're going to do it from the side. I'm going to change his eye position. Just want him to look at us rather than that way, if you know the panel I'm talking about. So, landscape page, pencil eraser, hit pause. If I go too fast, zoom in, because his head's real small. We're above halfway. His head is like in the top third. So you'd have like head, then down to maybe belly button area, and then down to some of his leg. Right, so the head's in the top third. So let's rock. So profile, so I'm going to start with his nose, right? Kind of this L shape sticking out. Very pointy. Nose, right? It's kind of like an upside down 7 or a letter L. And his nostril is drawn in. So we're going to go there. Just curves around. They don't really do that in the manga or in the anime. So the brow makes this shape look like a Z. So it goes here. So you got this kind of Z for the nose. And then his forehead goes pretty high up. And so you got this kind of lightning thing. So this is the brow, right? So therefore, eyebrow across from this. And it's different to, you know, what we're kind of used to drawing. It kind of goes up, and it doesn't have a terrible big curl or anything. It's not like a check mark. In the manga, he does like a simpler eyebrow, basically. Right, so it's kind of arched like that. It kind of nearly follows the forehead. But it's a real sharp point. And it goes underneath his hair, but I'll draw it in, right? Just, and we can erase afterwards. So that's kind of what we're dealing with, right? So then his eye, square. So we're going to go down here. This kind of looks like a T, a letter T. And then we have a diagonal one. Like that. And then the eyelid line on the bottom goes there. Okay, so real box-like eye. So in the manga, he's looking like over that way, right? So the iris is there. I want him to be like looking at us. So I'm going to do it down in this corner, just changing things up a bit. We can do that. So just here. Put that big silver semicircle. And then the pupil, is it black or is it, yeah, it's black, I think. So we're going to go real low down. And then we got like the cheek marks. So the, you know, this, and they're kind of sleeker in the manga, you know, they're very thin. Like so. Then we're going to do his top lip. So lips, it's a letter M, right? Like a capital letter M. So it kind of goes, we're going to follow the line for the nose kind of down to the chin. So it goes out, in, out, and in again. So it's like an M. Or, you know, if you, a bird flying, sort of, you know, that sort of simple way of drawing flying birds. See? Two wings, kind of. And then in this point is where his mouth comes out. And it's very sort of downturned and serious. Okay. And then the chin is quite long. Curves out there. And then it sort of goes back in kind of square. And then joins his jaw. Somewhere there. So very sort of masculine features, right? Big chin, big jaw. And just at the bottom of his lip here, there's some hatching just to show some shadow under there. All right, so then we'll go for the jaw along the side here. And then it kind of changes direction and goes up towards his ear. So his earlobe is kind of in line with his nose, just if you're wondering. And it goes out quite far past the eye. So you're over here. Sometimes people will put the jaw like in there and it'll look real skinny. So you want to go, make sure you're going out like, say this is the width of his eye, like goes once, twice, maybe 3 times nearly, or 2.5. You know, just make sure you're not like too close in here with the jaw. You want it to go out pretty far. And the earlobe then sort of lines up with his nose, right? So I'll say like there. Right, and the top of his ear lines up with his eyebrow, more or less. Could go up a bit higher even. Yeah, maybe above the eyebrow even. Yeah. And then you just join this together. And then ear lines inside. So the easiest way is a letter J. And then of course if you want to like add a few more bits inside, you can. Dragon Ball can do a lot of that. It's the most detailed object in the whole picture, I would say. He really goes anatomical with the ears. It's funny. So his hair, sleek, like you can nearly see the wind in it. So we have a spike coming out here first. And then we go back to there. And then there's another one coming back this way over the eyebrow. And then comes back into there. And then the next one. Like so. And then a little one sticking down, kind of like a sideburn, sort of there. So we just bring this up to meet here. And then there's the bottom part of that one. So he's got like a cluster of them at the front, and they're kind of being blown back this way. And then he's the round part, and then the ones at the back of his neck. So maybe I'll get the neck ones in. One sticking out there. And then there. Like so, right? Right, and then we'll deal with these ones. So we'll go So they're all kind of curling back. And then this one seems to go, how far? Maybe not the whole way back. That's pretty big. Goes past his ear. It's kind of in line here, maybe. A small one in there. And then a big one. There, and then bring it down. There's actually another little small one here. Okay, and then the round part of his head is like here. And then there's a large, other large spike. The top of it comes out from there, and then back into there, I think. Right, and then he's got like texture lines on all this stuff. So like you just follow each hair spike, adding texture lines. Okay. Now, body anatomy. So neck, back of his neck, back here. Front of his neck, we've got an Adam's apple, sort of there. And then we have neck muscles. Like that. So top of his chest, so like his body's turned to the side, right? But we got like a bumpy sort of chest muscle here. And then his other pectoral. Like so. There's no like chest muscle lines, but we'll add some. And he's got that round scar. So it's like this round sort of thing, just drawn in sort of lightly. It's not, there's no great detail on it. And we got a nipple there. Bum, 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 bum. We can just see his trapezius there. And it's all ripped, torn gi here. You can see like his belly sort of that way, sort of bumping for abs. So ripped and torn gi. So we'll go jaggedy. Kind of here. Some zigzags every now and then just to show it's kind of like torn up. that, right? And so there's a white part as well, so the black part sort of goes underneath it, I think. I'm not sure if the orange is over it or, well, it's white in the manga, but it kind of goes this way. Okay. Okay, then we got some abs here, right? So two sort of curved lines like that. And then the tops. Sides sort of lightly drawn in. Okay, we got an arm hanging down here, his body here, and a big arm here. So the belt for his waist comes out to about this way. And then, so the other side of his shoulder, sort of here. So this is like the top of the sleeve, right? And we'll go around that shoulder then. Okay. Right, and then, so the black sleeve then comes around this way. This could be tricky to get right. So I think it goes this way. Then in underneath. Okay, so I think his back just goes like here somewhere underneath his sort of bicep, right? And then there's some more folds coming up his body, sort of like that. Oh, and he has that symbol, that space thing. There. Okay, arms. So we got shoulder anatomy here, so deltoid muscle curving the inside of it, coming down here. It usually comes to like a little sort of point, you know, kind of like that. And then you have bicep. He looks like a lot leaner in the manga. Tricep. So we'll go this way. Right, and then this comes down, I think, touches the elbow then, like that. And then the inside of the bicep there. They do some hatching and stuff at the bottom, but he's kind of like scratched up. So the forearm then, it's pretty wide. And we'd have like some forearm muscles, just some lines going towards the elbow. It all kind of joins into the elbow joint, you know, the way it moves. Right, and then we got his wristband sort of coming around here, coming around his hand. And then we can just see like a little bit of his fist, not all of it. It comes down off the page. So like his thumb sort of going that way. It's kind of sketched in, kind of rough, right? Just got some folds, maybe some knuckles slightly visible. Okay, it's kind of like that. Right, and then his pants goes that way. Very loose fitting, so lots of folds and stuff. On the front of it, just in front of his fist over here, there's like some fold lines coming down the center. Okay, so shoulder on the other side, it's in front of the pec. Over here. And then there's not as much detail, so we got like the bicep maybe just there, and then tricep, and his forearm that way, and we can just see his wristband. So his fist on this side, I think we can see all of it pretty much. So it goes this way, right to a knuckle, like that, and then his thumb is pretty wide, just goes down behind his pants, I think. Might be like a knuckle line there. So hands are always tricky, so take your time. And then we can see just another finger curving around under here. Now sometimes people would run out of room down here. Just tape a page. That's what I would do. Tape some extra paper and then cut it to size. You know, if you run out of room. Right. And we could like put some scratches on them. There's a few. Like just kind of scratches on his shoulders and arms, and just light ones. Nothing major. But that's it. Goku MUI manga. Hope it's helpful. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.